Okay, so we got a straddle pot here. 25, 50, 100. Looks like it's live. All right, so we're live. Welcome, everybody. We're going to start this live stream. I'm Seth Davies. If none of you know, hopefully some of you do, maybe some of you don't, but yeah, I'm a high stakes tournament pro. I've been, playing all the high stakes for a number of years now, and yeah, I'm happy to be here on this stream. What we're going to do today, we're going to spend about an hour or so reviewing some hand histories, and then after that, we're going to play a cash game and have some fun, hopefully win some money and play some crazy hands. So let's start off with these hand history reviews. I'm not sure where these hands are from, and it looks like we're going to have a variety of stakes, but yeah, I assume these must be like user submitted, and there's probably some crazy stuff in here. All right, so looks like we're playing a 1.2. We got a 4x open from the low jack player. Pretty deep stacks. Most everybody has at least 150 big blinds. Okay, the cutoff calls, the button calls, and gets to the small blind here who 3-bets up to 2.8. A little on the small size with this 3-bet. I would probably want to go 3.5 or so. There's a lot of money in there already. There's 12, we're talking 13, 14 big blinds in there already. Even though that player's a little bit shorter, I'd like to 3-bet a little bit bigger here, regardless of what I had. Because you don't want to play like a 4-way pot, and you just want to whenever you're 3-betting, you just don't want to give too great of a price for everybody to call when they're in position. And this is kind of what's happening here right now. You've given these guys the right the right price to call with all these pocket pairs, which might seem like a good thing when you got pocket queens or aces, but it's not. All right, paired flop, the queen, queen, 9. Flush draw. Our 3-better checks. We face a half pot bet from the original opener. We got a call and so if you saw in the hand history, our 3-better here, Hui 29699, he has pocket queens. So he smashes this flop. Obviously, what should you do at this point is kind of the question. I would just go all in at this point. There is so much money out there that, because what's your options, right? You can try to call and try to get the other guys to bluff on turns and rivers, which is fine. I mean, sure, calling's fine, but I think it's a better idea to just go all in and make sure you stack a flush draw. Because if, say, the button or the original guy has a flush draw, if you just call here and it gets to the turn, they can just check back, and if they miss their flush draw, you don't get your last 750 in the pot. So because the pot's so big and it's so much less of a raise, even though you have an unbeatable hand, I would just go all in. It looks like he wants to call, which it's kind of whatever, but I would just go all in. I do like checking the flop though, because that's you know you just want this to happen. You want a bunch of money to go in. Um, you want people to take a stab with, say, they have pocket eights or whatever. But yeah, we got all the money's going in somehow. Let's see, this is a 400 big blind pot. Let's see what these guys have. Wow, so we got nines and ace king suited. So crazy, crazy flop. So what can we say about this? For the guy with the pocket nines, I would just fold pre-flop, as sad as that sounds. If the three better had more chips pre-flop, I'd be fine with calling the pocket nines, but I think he only had 75 to start the hand, so it's kind of shallow. So you're not really getting a good enough implied odds to set mine. And then the ace king suited guy, just definitely always four bet pre-flop. Ace king suited is just one of those hands where, and this is actually kind of important though. Ace king suited and ace king offsuit are very different hands when you're this deep, because ace king suited is so much more playable, and you get to flop backdoor flush draws and flush draws that you can bet. You almost always want to four bet them, whereas ace king offsuit, when you're super deep, you are going to be just calling a lot. So crazy hand, good big flop for everybody. All right, let's go to the next hand. 8-6 of clubs. All right, we got a straddle pot, 25, 50, 100 with about 175 in antes in there. We got the cutoff opening to 340. Yep. Just over 100 straddles deep with the big blind. And the big blind and the straddle call. Okay, so what can we say about this? I would say this flop definitely favors the opening player. So this is kind of an interesting spot because the straddle player should have like kind of a really specific type of range. Because the open size was large, he made it 3.4 straddles. The guy shouldn't be calling too much, right? Like he mostly wants to three bet or go all in because the pot, like his stack's pretty shallow now. It looks like, I mean, I guess it's 40 straddles, but because it's such a big raise size, he just doesn't get to flat that much. So he's gonna have like king queen offsuit, king jack offsuit, ace 10 offsuit a lot, and then pocket pairs. So he has like a very strong, well, very high equity, I would say. A very high equity range that has something pretty good a lot of the time. That being like pairs of sixes, sevens, and fours and fives are sets. And then he has like ace 10, which is good. So I don't think I would lead this spot if I was him, but he has, a pretty decent range. The big blind has a really bad range because he just has a pretty wide, like connected stuff, like 9-8 offsuit, 7-8 offsuit. And then the in position player, the raiser, has all the best stuff. So this is a spot where I would expect the in position player to play really aggressively. And when he does bet, he wants to bet big size. So this is good. I like this size here. And why do I like him betting 800 into 1200? It's because the guy in the big blind, the it looks like the small blind, but it's actually the big blind. He's going to have a lot of those, pocket sixes, king queen type hands that a small bet's just not enough to get them to fold. So I do like this bet size. Okay, so the straddle calls when we get this very active turn, this very dynamic turn, right? So what can we say about what we want to do here? I mean, this is the flush completer is like a really fantastic card for the big blind, right? Because when he faces this big flop C bet, he probably doesn't want to continue at just a really bad one pair hand. Say he has like king four of spades or five deuce of spades. Those hands probably just fold because it's a three-way pot, and maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's kind of a sticky opponent, and if that's the case, you need to play differently. But most of the stuff he's going to have, or not most of the stuff, but he's going to make a flush very often. He's going to make a straight with 3-6 suited quite often. He's going to have some pair plus straight draw stuff, maybe like a 5-6 of hearts, something with the backdoor that's a little better. So I guess what I'm saying is the IP player needs to be pretty careful here with, say he just has queens, red queens or something. His hand's kind of no longer good enough to get all in with. So I would imagine seeing a lot of check from him. So he doesn't check. He bets 2/3 pot. So what's he saying now? He's basically saying I have like at least a set, I would say, or he could also have like an overplayer with a club, I guess. But even that is kind of like, this is a big bet for jacks with a club because you're trying to get, something worse to call. But anyways, to me, this just looks like he has kind of like a flush or like a semi-bluff. All right, so 4 clubs on the river now. So now it's like kind of that's like a good guard for the in-position player, right? Because if he did have a semi-bluff, it's often going to be with the ace of clubs or king of clubs, whereas the out-of-position player, most of his club hands, had they turned a flush or just have one club, they're going to be lower, right? So like the out-of-position player is going to have a lot of, 8-9 of clubs, where the in-position player is going to have like aces with a club or like ace 10 with a club, something like that. So I do like this bet size from the out of position player if he is going to bet. I don't think I like betting for what I just said because, yeah, I mean, he's just like his range is just very, you have to think about who has the nuts more often. And I think in this situation, it's pretty clearly going to be the in-position player. So that's not a time you want to start leading. Not like the nuts, but like say ace of clubs or better. Because if the out of position player has a full house, right, he's really likely to have check raised the flop. If he has 4s or 5-4 or 10-5, really likely to have check raised the flop. So he's going to have a lot of kind of lower flushes, and the IP player is going to have a lot higher flushes. All right, so we got the small bet, we got a small raise, and come over the top, and we are going to see some strong hands, I'm sure. Okay, so he had the 8-6 of clubs. So yeah, there's the 8-6, the straight flush, the 3-6 straight flush. So the IP player had a hand that makes a lot of sense, right? And I mean, the OOP player had a hand that made a lot of sense too. It's just I didn't like the lead, I would say, because think about what you're trying to do by leading the river here. You would be trying to just get called by like a hand that would call you but would check back. So, I mean, that's not like that never happens, right? Like if he has queen jack with a club, like that might be a hand that would call your bet but doesn't bet itself. So, it's not like it has no value, but I think it's just a bit better to check and let him continue betting himself, just from like a range on range thing. All right, so what do we got next? We got pocket kings. That looks like that's gonna be a fun one. All right, so 5, 10, 20 with about 20 ante in there. And we got a limp from the first guy. And another limp. The small blind makes it, oh, I guess this is the big blind, right? Yeah, this is straddle. So so he makes it 7 times the straddle. How much is that? Feels a little bit small to me. I would probably make it like 180. And this is just kind of a common mistake that a lot of people make is just raising too small, particularly when you're deep stacked versus multiple players in position. You just want to, the idea is you just want to not play big pots out of position over and over again. And the stacks are short enough that you can kind of, like, you want to reduce the stack to pot ratio as much as possible, as much as like possible within reason when you're at a position like this, at a stack like this. And you can't do that when you get very deep, right? Like, let's say instead of 2,000, he had 8,000 and he was 400 straddles deep. Then the strategy kind of becomes a different thing because you can't significantly reduce the stack to pot ratio and get all in with like a top pair type hand. So what you do in that case is you stop raising as much and you start raising more playable hands that can play for stacks at a deeper stack depth, like suited aces, suited kings, suited connectors. Well, in a spot like this, you want to raise big with, say, like ace queen offsuit, king queen offsuit, stuff that just makes one pair a lot. So you need to raise bigger. All right, so we get 2 callers. See if we can get 2 more. Play a 5-way pot. Nope, the other 2 fold. All right, so we're 3 ways to the flop. We got a king, queen, jack. So this is a fantastic board for the raiser, right? The raiser is going to have a set quite often. The big pairs are the most common hands in his pre-flop range, while the other 2 guys are going to have a bunch of smaller pocket pairs, as well as some other stuff. They might have, have ace-10 suited, king-queen suited, queen-jack. Like, they definitely have some good stuff on these boards, but the stuff they're going to have the most often is pocket pairs. So I would always bet if I was left joined. What's going on with my replay here? There we go. So he does bet, which is good. I like this size too. He gets to bet, throw out a small bet, just try to get him to fold small pairs when he does have a bluff. All right, so the ace turn. That is a interesting card because you have all the sets and the in position player. So you kind of have a similar amount of straights, I would say. Maybe the in position player would have a few more straights. What I think would be how this hand is supposed to play out would be left join checks, and the in position player, I can't read his name. It's in Chinese characters, unfortunately. I think he would, if he had a 10, he would just go all in, or like a flush draw. Like if he had like ace high flush draw, or just like a straight, I think he would just go all in for 2x pot with the intention of trying to get left join to fold a set. Because left join is just going to have a set like so often, a set or 2 pair. And if you can get him to fold all those, and I don't think that's going to happen, but I think that's what the in position player would want to do. And this is why left join should check, because this is often what's going to happen, right? The guy's going to have a straight and he's going to want to bet it, but it's probably not really going to occur to him to go all in. But like this bet size he's doing here just doesn't really do much. I mean, he can, let's see, like he can probably get folds from like ace queen, I would suppose, king queen. Is that right? Let's see. So he's betting half pot. So let's just simplify here. Say it's 400 into 800. We'll pretend it's 400 into 800. Let's pretend that's, so he'd be calling 14 to win 1600. Let's do some pot odds math here. So he would need to get back 25% of the pot to make it like a profitable call. And if he has ace king, he's got 4 outs. So yeah, I mean this bet size is probably fine to target specifically ace king, ace queen. So, but he certainly can't get a set to fold with his bet size. But yeah, the ace king, ace queen only has 4 outs, whereas if he has pocket kings, he's got 8, right? If he has pocket kings, he's got, no, way more than that, 11. 3 aces, 3 queens, 3 jacks, 1 king. So he's got 10 outs and has like the implied odds. So yeah, this size is just a little too small, I'd say. But not as small as I thought at first. I was kind of, felt like a short deck hand there for a second. So I think this size is a little small, but not that bad. I think you want to go like 550. But anyways, if left join has a set, which I'm pretty sure he does, I think he has kings if I remember right. All right, so now he should lead all in every time he does, and this guy will stack off with, ooh, so he had the ace queen. That's an interesting hand. I think that's actually a really sweet play, the ace queen. Like he can bet the turn and get ace king to fold and then bluff the river if he gets called. Like let's say the river's like a 7, just like an offsuit 7. Like the ace queen can bet, get called by pocket kings, and then bluff the river. That's a really cool play. So this is like, so if the OOP player does have a straight, like let's say for example left join just has like Jack 10 suited, and he understands that this is a spot where he's going to do a lot of checking and letting the imposition player bet for him. And then once the imposition player does bet the turn, he's saying he has a straight, so there's no reason for left join to raise, right? So this is a really cool play where the hands kind of can play backwards, and the ace queen hand can function as a semi bluff on the turn. So that's actually a really interesting hand. I mean, crazy hand too that they both have the boat. I'm surprised no one had a royal flush, but that's a very cool play on the turn. I like that from Mr. All. I wish I could read Chinese to give you a shout out because that was a cool hand. Okay, next hand. 5, 10, 20. We got a couple shorter stacks on this one. Let's see what happens. Started off with a limp, a couple more limps, and a raise from the small blind. Again, so kind of a theme here, and this is kind of what you see a lot on like lower stakes like this, is just small, raising too small out of position. He should make it like, I don't know, at least 150, 160, not just 100. But anyways, we get a call, 2 calls. Ten, 10, 6, or small blind checks. half pot from the big blind, a little too big. The general idea on paired boards when you're multi-ways, you don't really want to bet more than a third pot or so, because you just have to think about what you're trying to get to fold, right? And just being worried about running into trips. So if you're just trying to get, queen jack to fold, you don't have to bet much, and you're just worried about running into a 10 yourself. So let's see what our friend does here. He calls. Bets all in. Ooh, he rivered the underboat. Another cooler. What a surprise. Um, so yeah, I mean, this is a really well played hand by the pocket tens guy. He he checks the flop, giving the opportunity of either of the in position guys to stab, and that goes great for him. He just calls the flop because he wants the guy to make a flush. He wants him to make a straight. After the turn goes check check, the pocket tens guy knows that the imposition player probably doesn't have anything really that good. He probably has a lot of pocket pairs, like maybe sevens or eights, maybe a 6-7 suited type hand, maybe a nine with some clubs, or just a nine with whatever, 9-8, or just a stab. Say the guy just has queen nine. So the pocket tens fella understands that he needs to bet himself to try to get called by those hands, and he does. And he just is fortunate enough that the guy picked up a full house on the river and is forced to go with it. So good, yeah. The the only real mistake I see in this hand is the pocket four guys betting flop, which is like not even really a mistake. It's fine. I would never bet this hand, but I would wait till I had like pocket fours with a club in it because that would get me some more folds. But this is a fine hand. I got no problem with it. All right. 10-7. Let's go. All right, so everybody ante. Oh, this is like a bomb pot, looks like. Is that what this is? Let's go back to the start. Looks like it's a bomb pot. Let's try this again. Oh no, it's not a bomb pot. It was just a little glitch thing. Okay, so 2-5. Really deep, right? Yeah, really deep game. Most guys are sitting on about 400 big blinds or so. So we got a 5-way limped pot. Let's check it out. All right, so very important here with the same thing I said as the last board, where on a multi-way paired board, you don't want to bet this big because you're just gonna run into trips way too often. So you want to bet a size where you can bet things that are not trips yourself, right? Like you want to bet a flush draw or sometimes a queen or stuff like that. So you just got to size it small so you're not just building a big pot versus trips. Because if you do that, you're just gonna that's just a recipe for losing money. But anyway, we go three-way to the turn, so the turn checks through, which is pretty interesting. I would expect a bet to go in mostly. So I guess the most likely situation here, well, we know that Raceline has 10-7. So when he or she has 10-7, I do like checking on the turn because what do we want to happen when we have the full house? We want the other guys to make flushes so we can win a big pot. So when Raceline has just a bare 7 on the turn, say it's ace-7 or king-7, they want to bet. But here I like to check. So now what? The flushes miss, and there's a lot of money to be played. What do we want to do? I think what I want to do is make a really small bet with the 10-7. Say there's 30 in the pot. I would say something, so what do we want to accomplish? I want to get a little bit of money out of a queen if one of the other guys just has a queen. But I also want to get a lot of money when one of the other guys has like a straight or like 7-6 or a 7. So what I want to do is bet really small, but I'm a little bit worried I'm not going to get raised by a 7. I still think that's what I'm going to do is the small bet because I think the 7, neither of them is going to have a 7 as much because they check the turn. But I think ideally that's, a problem if I bet a size that a 7 doesn't raise. But I want to make sure I always get raised by like 8-9, the straight, like say 8-9 of spades, or like slow played 7-6. So I would bet something like 6-6 here, just like a 20% pot guy. He bets half pot, which half pot is like I think the exact wrong size you want to bet. Sorry, buddy, if you're watching, but I think you want to bet really small or really big. Well, not really big. I think you want to bet like 20% pot or like full pot. You can't bet more than full pot because if you do, the only thing that calls you is like a slow played boat, like queen 7 or something like that. So I think you want to bet 20 or like 30. Or if, I want you to bet 6 or 30. Those are the sizes I would want to choose. Wow, so we got a bet, a raise, and a call. I mean, so someone's got to have queen 7, right? Bet, raise, call. All right, let's see some hands here. I want to see what these guys have. This is a wild hand. I mean, the in position guy's got to have queen 7 suited, right? I would love to see what they got here. Here we go. Let's see. Okay, he's got queen 7. Yep. Wow, the other guy had 6s. All right, so what a crazy spot. I guess so with the 10-7, let's evaluate what we want to do as Raceline here on the river. Facing the action we faced. The so just by pre-flop we can tell that the queen 7 suited guy is a bit of a wild man, right? He's probably playing every pot. If he I mean if he's playing queen 7 off from this position, he's definitely just playing everything. So I guess you don't fold to him. Like he might just have a straight and think it's the nuts, or he might just have, 7-3 suited and think it's the nuts. So, but I am really worried about the in position guy raising. This is a very sticky spot. Like this is a spot where I feel like I would have folded in game and like being shown like 8-9 or something. But yeah, 6 cooler. I don't blame him for calling it off, but you know, it's very hard to be good. But yeah, he seems like a crazy player, so I don't blame him. All right, let's go to the next hand. Another pocket kings. Ooh, 367. Lots of boats today. Lots of boats in this review. All right, 10, 20, 40, 40. What is that? That must be a guy who posted. So he checks his post. Okay. All right. So stacks are shorter in this one with the straddle on. This guy opens to 5.5 straddles. Okay. All right, so what do we want to do on the flop? This is a flop where we want to be betting and betting big very often. Why do we do that? Let's think about what our range is and what HX range is. HX is going to have a pocket pair a lot of the time, and he's going to have some suited cards. He's going to have some high cards. So when we are B Lucy, we're going to have aces, kings, queens. We're going to have high cards. We're going to have some of the pocket pairs ourselves, but our range is much better in general. Like, you can almost treat this board as, so when you get a paired flop in a heads up pot where the person who called pre-flop doesn't have the paired card very often, like he doesn't have a 7 very often. It's basically like ace 7 suited, 6-7 suited, 7-8 suited. And that's kind of it. He's not going to have 7-6 offsuit. He's not going to have king 7 offsuit. So you treat this as a situation where it's almost like a flop with just two like it's almost a 2-card flop that don't interact with either range, right? So what it means is the Belusi has all these great high pairs, and HX has these lower pairs, and Belusi's just kind of standing on top of the mountain looking down at HX here. So what that means is he just gets to bet a lot. He gets to bet big a lot and force ace X really on the defensive when HX has pocket eights. He's just going to be in a bluff catching situation versus Belusi's either over a pair or just over cards. So this is just a great situation for Belusi to bet big, say like 450, and really start applying pressure on ace X. Whether he has it or not, he should just force him to put in a lot of money with a bluff catcher, because that's what you're trying to do in no hold'em. You want to look for spots where you're the aggressor with a range advantage and build pots that way. But it does go check check, which is fine. Like Belusi isn't supposed to bet 100% of the time, I don't think. He has to check sometimes, or he just has unpaired hands too much. But check check. So when it does go check check, this is a pretty great card for Belusi because he's going to have ace king a lot. The flush does complete, but no money's gone in on the flop, so each player has a flush draw less often. That doesn't mean never, but Belusi does kind of take the lead here because he has ace king and the in position player does not have ace king. So Belusi should bet a lot to a small size. On the turn, he should just bet, 350 chips and just get the IP player to fold queen jack of spades, ace 10 of spades. But he doesn't. He checks. Check bet call. All right. So what we know is that Belusi has kings, right? From the replayer. So yeah, I'm good with his line so far. He has like the very unique, very top of his range. So some kind of funky stuff gets to happen both on the flop and the turn. I would have liked to see a bet on the flop primarily, but checking both flop and turn is fine. And now, ace X is kind of saying he has a flush on the turn, so definitely check again and hope he has that flush. And now What does HX have? I mean, it kind of looks like he has quads. I didn't see the hands, but it kind of looks like he has quads to me. He's tanking, so I guess not. Unless he's slow rolling him. He might be slow rolling him with quads. Oh, okay. Ace King. All right, so he did flat Ace King. I don't think I like that play. I think I would have just 3-bet, but I mean, they were a little bit deeper. It's not a really bad play or anything, but I would primarily 3-bet. But once you don't, yeah, I mean that's fine. That's a fine play by him. I'm not gonna say that's bad. That's totally fine. He just kind of got coolered, and yeah, on the river he should just call, I would say, with the ace of diamonds and blocking all the boats. All right, next hand. Tricky hand from those guys. We got a couple of tricky guys there. All right, 7-6 is the next one. We got a post under the gun, check. No straddle on this one, so deep stacked. All right, so this guy raises it up big. This is what I like. You know, we've seen a lot of, five-way pots and stuff, and this player on the button who makes it 11 big blinds over a couple limps, like this is what I want to see. I want to see using bigger sizes pre-flop, and then just limping behind stuff that's like mediocre. You can just limp behind, and then when you have good cards, just build a huge pot. That's kind of what you want here. Okay, so we're very deep. We're 600 big blinds deep or so on average. This is a situation where if I'm the button, I would. Okay, I didn't get the opportunity to continue, but if I'm on the button and I have aces here, I'm just folding, definitely. Like you're running into three guys who have a set a lot or a straight a lot. So if you have aces here, your hand's just dead. So if you're the button, aces in the muck. And you just have to like it sucks that you had aces pre-flop, or I don't know if he does, but I'm just gonna say as a talking point, like it sucks that you had aces pre-flop and you're just immediately folding the flop to a single bet, but you just have to understand that ace is just not a very good hand anymore. Like it's 5-4-3 in a situation where all three of the other players are going to have a pocket pair a lot, a low pocket pair a lot. So you're just up against a set and you are dead. So don't continue aces on the flop. Wait for better hands. FPX. Oh, what has happened here? Looks like we mm, looks like my machine here is kind of laggy. What? Only save the hand cards in half a year. Okay, that's not. All right, here we go. We'll just let this play out. No stoppage. All right, so A line has 6-7 and FPX has 4-3. Yeah, so A line bets, that's just too, he just doesn't have a good enough hand. A straight's just not a good enough hand here. You need a full house to bet. I mean, that's even like kind of a thin value raise with the 4-3. Like, you both just have full houses a lot. So, I mean, it worked. You got value from a straight, but that's like, I don't know. That's not a good enough hand to raise there in that situation. All right, next hand. See if this lets me scroll down here. All right, ace 10. Let's see if it'll let me get to it. Oh, blew right past it. Go up. This thing voice activated. All right, we'll just start with this deuces hand. Looks like we got quads. That's nice. All right, 5 cent, 10 cent with some antes in there. We got a raise from the button. Wait a sec, let me see something. Is there like a non-blind? Is that how these games play? There's like a non-blind small blind? That's very interesting. Oh. Or is it 1, 2? This must be 2 cent, 5 cent. Pot's 28, so 15. I don't understand this. Anyway, we'll just forget that for him. We'll just treat it like a button open. And this guy calls, so it's about 100 big blinds between the button and the other two, but the other two are a lot deeper. All right, so he bets good size, less worried about running into sets here, so sets are 2 pairs, so this is good. Both players call. Ooh, what a disastrous turn for the button. He's gonna if he has aces, he's no longer happy because he's gonna run into a flush a lot. Very nice. So he should check. Good job. Ooh. Well, it's not full. It's not quads versus straight flush. I was hoping to be something like that, but okay. So the button needs a very strong hand to call here. Needs a full house. Let's see if yep. So he's got it. I think he's the one with the quads. He must have a flush. Oh, he's got the tens. Wow. What a river. What a river. Um, yeah, so crazy, crazy spot to have set over set on such a dry board. What can I say about this? I would always 3-bet pre-flop, so that's what I would say. Here, I'm gonna take this switch. All right. So yeah, the pocket tens pre-flop, you just got to raise it up. That's too good of a hand to just call. Um, Everything else is, okay. I probably would have raised the flop too, but slow playing a hand this good is fine. But I would rather just try to build a pot versus a small blind. All right, let's go to another hand. All right, here's the ace-10 we wanted. Let's pause this real quick. Sorry, guys. Trying to get a break. Trying to get a bathroom break. Let's see if we can do that. All right, so let's look at this. All right, so there's $2 in the pot with a bunch of antes in there. Some kind of like big ante game, I would say. Like, I don't really understand the ante structure here, but yeah. All right, we'll review this hand and then take a bathroom break. So what's gonna happen here? So this guy should just have like ace king a lot, right? The the little win guy, Lily win, will have some flush draws, some pocket pairs. Ooh, Lily could have bluffed him there. Oh, sick river. Sick river. Yeah, I don't blame Lily for calling that one. It's hard to be beat after the guy checks the turn, so sick river. All right, let's take a little break here, guys, and I'll be right back. All right. Let's try to see if we can close some stuff. I mean, yeah, none of this stuff's really using. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's gonna help, but might as well. Yeah, I mean, none of this is using any real resources. Microsoft Edge, huh? Oh wow, yeah, I got my camera in there. That's cool. Right in my avatar. Live. Broadcasting live. Is this live? Looks like it. All right. So I got 150. He's got 1,000, 2,000. All right. Hello, CSSSSS. Let's play some poker. Come on. Hit the button. I can't. This thing's. All right. Hopefully this cleans up a little bit, but. All right, we got a game. Oh, where do I gotta go? So there's 30 in antes in there, 10 antes each. All right. Where is this? Is call, right? Yeah, it's call. Man, I'm not meaning to play slow. If you guys are watching, like it's so choppy, it's hard for me to even bet. Like I'm trying to play fast, but I can't hit the buttons. All right, I think it's getting a little better now. Sure, let's see what he's got. All right. He folded. Okay, I'll call. How do you bet the minimum? Yeah, this is brutal. I'm just frozen half the time. Ten, 20, 40. All right. It's going a little smoother this hand. Let's see if that stays on for me. But yeah, I'm not trying to play slow. It's just really slow and choppy for me. I can't even see my cards. this.